welcome to another episode of Hoda's Career Info. So many of you have taken the time to send messages and provide feedback. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Hearing from you really keeps me inspired. Thank you. We are joined today by author, top 1% influencer, and inspirational speaker, Elinor Stutz. Stay tuned to hear her unique experience and how she used this experience to inspire and collaborate with others. I am your host, Hoda Kilani, career and academic coach. Hoda's Career Info is about sharing stories from inspiring career people from across the globe. Use this program wisely and galvanize your career journey. Let's go!
Believe, become, empower. Believe you can do it, become that person, and empower others to do the same. Our worst experiences can be our gifts in disguise when we're willing to learn from them. And you do have to sell yourself on interviews. Why would somebody want to hire you? We have one life to live, and our duty is to live it well.
Thanks again for joining Hoda's Career Info, your program where guests from across the globe share career tips and inspiring stories to help you successfully activate your career. Watch, listen, and learn. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and follow me, Hoda Kilani, on social media for more career info. Who is our guest today? Elinor Stutz. I will read her bio as she shared it in the first person. After horrific ridicule, a woman took me aside at a networking event to say, "You must write a book to establish credibility." I smiled and then set out to write a corporate tell-all with names changed to protect the guilty, titled "Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, Relationship Building That Gets Result." The book broke records to quickly become an international bestseller and later evergreen among the classics. Due to the need for 11 jobs in 11 years, I also wrote Hired: How to Use Sales Techniques to Sell Yourself on Interviews. Interviewing truly requires sales communication. A near-death experience due to an irreparable broken neck pointed me to serving communities. Today, the Smooth Sale blog offers readers insights on how to advance careers and businesses. My advice? We have one life to live, and our duty is to live it without regret. What do you guys think of Elinor's advice? Thank you for joining me and Elinor Stutz. Stay with us as Elinor shares her journey and inspires us with practical quotes. Welcome, Elinor Stutz, to Hoda's Career Info. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to the conversation we're going to have today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Can you please share with the audience your personal story and embed with it perhaps a message that you'd like to share by being here on this program?
I'll be very happy to, yes. The way I was raised and my communication style, I was told I had the personality of a salesperson. It was the last thing I ever wanted to do. And the men wished I had never come for an interview. They didn't want me. But 11 years, 11 jobs in a row. I was the top sales producer because I made friends with everybody. I wasn't there to push something to sell for money. I wanted to make friends, understand their issues, and then develop trust and share stories and have fun and conversations They all called me a breath of fresh air and actually asked permission to purchase from me. So year after year, I embarrassed the men, and my hard-earned accounts at the end of the year, my bonus was to have those accounts given to the men, and my quota tripled for the following year. So year after year, I had to go find a new job. The 11th year, I took one day off for myself. I was at a red light, and suddenly, boom, someone zoomed into the back of my car at full speed. I could feel my brain swing around in my head. No doctor wanted to touch me. I was in terrible pain for 10 years. And then I say, thankfully, I was a passenger in a car on a rainy night, and the car slid into a lamppost. I said, you better call an ambulance. And was there waiting for medical care, where my family was sent to consultation. I heard them sobbing, but a brilliant gold light encased my entire body, and then two visions appeared, one at a time. The first, I was to become a speaker, to which, in my mind, I immediately said, yes, that's what I always wanted to do. Saw a blink of a gold light. And the second vision appeared, and it was my life report card. I had high life marks on the left-hand side, but the right-hand side was completely blank and titled Community Service. In the moment, I promised to begin giving my best any way I possibly could. But being the salesperson, I added, to give my best, I have to be able to walk out of this hospital on my own. And I saw a blink of a gold light, and I knew I'd be fine. My family then came over. I said, go home and get a good night's sleep. I'm going to be just fine. And the short synopsis is, I had a near-death experience. There was much more to it than what I just revealed. And after surgery, the entire medical staff came to visit me, calling me a walking miracle. It took me years to figure out what to do, but one of my quotes afterward became, we have one life to live, and our job is to live it without regret. And then a couple more quotes: believe, become, empower. Believe you can do it, become that person, and empower others to do the same. And the third quote, which is really important, is our worst experiences can be our gifts in disguise when we're willing to learn from them. So I was willing to learn to give back to communities. In sales, I was highly competitive, but someone taught me to be collaborative, which started to work beautifully. And as time went on, I paid attention to the community service message. Today, my blog, smoothsale.net, the purpose of it is to help readers advance their businesses and careers. And I do so by sharing my best insights plus those of a collaborative team. Accordingly, the return is the visitorship is pretty extensive, according to a marketing person. And that's where I am today. I never forgot my promise, and I became a better person for the entire experience.
I appreciate you sharing your inspiring story and your accidents and your willingness to talk about them. And definitely so many quotes and messages that are all inspiring and that I hope to continue to build on during our conversation today.
Thank you.
Elinor, what is the term that best describes your work, and how would you define it from your perspective or from your experience?
My work is based upon building relationships. It's not about me talking. It's about listening, hearing the words that are selected, not selected, the meanings of them, what people are trying to accomplish. And I always ask, how do you believe I can assist you? I never try to push anything on anybody. Never did, never will. It's all about finding the collaborative effort, whether it's a client or a peer.
That's a great term, and I appreciate how you inserted the definition in there. Elinor, you have written 2 books, and I would like to invite you to reflect on both with me a little bit. The first book we'll talk about is Nice Girls Do Get the Sale: Using the Power of Empathy to Build Relationships and Get Results. Was there an incident that prompted you to say, I have to write this book?
Oh, you won't believe the incident. Most of people would have gone home crying. I was very successful in Silicon Valley after I recovered from the accident, doing sales training for teams and entrepreneurs. We moved north, I won't say where, and I was invited to an event and asked to introduce myself on stage. Upon saying I was a sales trainer, the jeers were unlike anything I ever heard. It was unreal. And I quickly jumped off the stage. They all believed that a woman couldn't possibly know anything about sales. Someone, though, kindly took me aside and said, Elinor, to establish credibility, you have to write a book. My phone wasn't ringing. I had nothing to lose. And all those awful corporate stories came to mind in order. And I captured all of them in the manuscript. And I call it a corporate tell-all with names changed to protect the guilty. No one could believe the stories, but nevertheless, it broke all records. The first publishing house said yes. I appeared in Time magazine and on ABC TV News, plus more media. And within a couple of months became an international bestseller. I kid you not, and was translated into a couple of languages. And it was remarkable. I never expected those results. And people couldn't believe the stories, but it was all true. And then I had an opportunity to train with Les Brown, who's an inspirational speaker. And he taught me how to open up what I wanted to share. And I began to get incredible applause at different events. So the whole turnaround was incredible. The next book was Hired: How to Use Sales Techniques to Sell Yourself on Interviews, because I realized a lot of people don't know how to interview well. Every communication really should have influence or sales behind it. And when I would interview, the person asking me questions were usually stunned. And one hired me on the spot. Can I give you an example?
Yes, please do.
She said, if you could be any animal in the world, which one would it be? How does that have anything to do with sales? But I had an answer. We had actually been in Africa years prior, and we were out in the open plains watching the animals run. And I told her, I said, we were there, and I saw a beautiful herd of giraffe running in the sunlight, and their fur just glowed. It was beautiful, and they were so graceful running. And the best thing about being a giraffe, they have long, long necks. And people always complain about salespeople going after low-hanging fruit. But if I were a giraffe, I could go off after the apples high in the tree. And she said, you're hired, right on the spot.
Wow, that's a perfect example. And yes, I would have hired you as well.
Yeah. So it all became fun knowing how to communicate with people.
That's very cool, Elinor. I want to take you back to the first book. You mentioned that it's full of stories. Are they your personal stories?
They were personal stories. There are two that come to mind. So one, I was the top producer the fourth month, still not trained. I had no clue what I was training, and it was a terrible embarrassment to the men. So my reward, you'll never guess what it was. The director decided to take the men on the bad side of town to a motel where they had a mother-daughter combo modeling evening wear, if you catch my drift. That was my reward. So I didn't know what to do. My car actually drove me to the site. And they were stunned when I walked in. There was like a long buffet table where they were sitting down. So I sat at the end opposite the director. What did Elinor do? I started hurling sales questions at him so they couldn't enjoy the show. And then one person sitting next to me, a salesman, said, I bet you don't wear clothes like that, to change the topic. I said, oh, I'd be willing to share that, but first tell me, do you wear tops, bottoms, or nothing at all? And he was silent. By the end of that event, the director swore he'd never do anything like that again. But you have to stand up for yourself.
Absolutely. And such a good example. It's clear, it's fun, it gets the point across.
Yes. And then there's another one where I used to cold call, and I swung open a door. It was a Fortune 100 or 500 company in Silicon Valley, and there was a guard with a gun. I had never seen a gun until that point in time, and I was scared to death. And he said, "Don't you come back here again." But I had been taught on holidays like Halloween to get candy bars and give them out to everybody. So I was on a new job. Took me 10 minutes to get out of the car. Got a candy bar in my fist. And I went over to the big brass door, swung it open, and it was like adrenaline took over. I swung my arm around with it full speed, and I threw it at the guard. And I expected to be shot, to tell you the truth. Instead, tears were coming down his cheeks. And I walked a little closer and he muttered, "Nobody ever gave me anything before. I bet you want the names of every contact in this building." And I shook my head up and down and he handed me his black book. He said, "Just be sure to give it back to me when you're done."
Very cool personal stories. So that sounds like a great segue to people going and checking out the book. The title is Nice Girls. Do you feel it's written for girls only, or what was your purpose when you wrote that?
No, I have to tell you, I said, "Why don't you do nice people? Because it applies to everybody." And they said, "Just wait. You'll be surprised at the results." So they were right on that end. But it does, in my mind, applies to everybody. Not every man knows how to speak up. And the purpose is how to speak up with confidence, but not disrupt the relationship either. Do it professionally and mainly asking questions. I'm friends with somebody in England who is a top salesperson, and he's always talking about how Sherlock Holmes is the best salesperson. Ask
That's
questions.
Elinor, you already talked a little bit about the second book. I'll just repeat the title. Hired: How to Use Sales Techniques to Sell Yourself. How is this book different from the first one? Is it the same style, like with stories and messages?
It's very similar, and it just talks about the different experiences I had interviewing. And it wasn't at a high level because there was no way I'd ever enter management. So it was how to communicate clearly. And I believe no matter what you want, if it's a new job, if it's a new client, you have to speak the same way. It's being professionally nice, building the relationship, and encouraging others to share their stories so you get more insight and so you know how to move the conversation forward and to find a solution that will satisfy all parties. My business name is called Smooth Sale, and the underlying meaning of that is to earn a returning and referring clientele. Your clientele actually becomes your sales force in disguise. And the same is true with the jobs. I applied for jobs where they didn't want me, but the person interviewing me insisted that I get hired, that I'm the right person.
I love this, but with your smooth sale concept, it seems to be you're focused on sales, but you just introduced the idea what you would take out from the book. You can also use it for your career. Can you give us an example on that?
On hired? Well, the one example that stood out was being the giraffe.
Do you see a similarity in that when I'm looking for a new job or to get hired, am I selling myself as a product, or do you not agree with that?
Not as a product, but how your talent will help the business grow. They need your talent. We're each unique people. No two people are alike, and we have to accept our identity. And I learned that at an early age because no one would accept me. I was referred to as stupid my entire childhood. And so I learned to, I'll tell you what my training was. Because no one would talk to me or spend time with me, I spent time looking in my bedroom mirror, talking to myself, weighing pros and cons of what everybody said, and to realize the better way forward. By sixth grade, I became an avid goal setter. Nobody could believe that. And it all applied to sales very effectively. And you do have to sell yourself on interviews. Why would somebody want to hire you? What talent do you have? Are you a team player? Are you going to be good with their clientele if that's the role that you're applying for? How are you going to assist to maybe improve the inside teamwork and communications with upper management? How is all of your talent going to apply to multiple areas within the company?
I love the use of the word talent because I usually tell the young clients I work with that you have skills. You got to show the company how you're going to use these skills for their benefit.
Yeah, but skills get outdated. But we have natural talent, natural communication style. And I think that goes further.
That's very insightful, Eleanor. I appreciate that.
Sure.
I'm looking for one more advice to share with my young clients. I always tell them to step out of their comfort zone and embrace new challenges. Do you have anything that you're preparing for right now that you can share to give us an example of how one steps out of their comfort zone?
Oh, yes. I'm challenging myself to learn about AI and how it fits in. I mean, in some ways, I'm very old school with building relationships and being kind to everybody you meet and being ethical. That doesn't exist too well anymore either in our society. But at the same time, you have to be up to date on technology and how it applies to what you're attempting to do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this example, Eleanor. So these were all the questions I had prepared for you today. Was there anything else that you would like to add or share to wrap up the episode?
Just sometimes we have devastating blows and think, oh my God, I wasn't cut out for this. But the better road ahead is to learn from, whatever errors people think you're making and figure out a better road ahead. But don't give up. The other quote, we have one life to live and our duty is to live it well.
Awesome advice. And I thank you so much for your time today, Eleanor.
Sure. Well, I appreciate your having me as your guest. If I can help you in the future, just send me email and I'll answer the questions.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Hoda's Career Info, the program where career professionals from across the globe join me to empower you to succeed. Our guest today on Hoda's Career Info was author, top 1% influencer, and inspirational speaker Elinor Stutz. You can connect with Elinor on X. In this episode, Elinor shared, skills get outdated, but we have natural talent, natural communication style, and I think that goes further. Take a moment to pause and rethink. Are you aware of your natural talents? Remember that you can watch Hoda's Career Info on YouTube or listen to the episode on your favorite podcast app. To let me know if you're interested in an opportunity to talk about your work, you can send me a direct message on my website, rightcareerfit.com, where you can also sign up for my newsletter to stay up to date on the latest episode. Please like, subscribe, share, and follow me, Hoda Kilani, on social media. And together, let's increase career literacy. I am your host, Hoda Kilani, career and academic coach. Until next time, take the time to pause, rethink, and assert your natural talents.